So applause. That was wonderful. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pushing the technology the whole time. My wife said to me yesterday, she said, have you spent the whole day sitting in front of a computer? And I said, no, I'm feeling super fit. My avatar has been running across this conference absolutely non-stop. So I just would like to push things along a bit and say welcome to the final session. This is just a little precursor before we get into the big event of the Gala Awards and the closure. So I'm just filling in a little bit of time. I am completely ready for the Gala Awards. I have the white wine in the fridge. I have the glass on the side. I have the pretzels. So I'm ready to go. Now, my technology fails from time to time on this, so if I disappear, you do two things. You sing happy birthday twice and wash your hands, and then you also check you've got some white wine in the fridge. And it looks like my system has failed already, so.
You heard Tom. Everyone check their fridge while he come back. He have done this at least 20 times today, so he learned how to do it super fast. He will be here in no time.
I'm going to try a slideshow. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm getting there. I practice it. Everybody's hearing me. Okay, that's good. Well, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to the slideshow, everybody, and I'm just trying to press a button. Can you see the first slide there? Right, so the first slide says, what have you been doing? Now, this is the theme of my talk, because I've heard this phrase so much recently over the last couple of months. It used to be a phrase that you would say to children, or wives would say to husbands, and they would say something like, what have you been doing? Or, what have you been doing? But since the pandemic has come across, then I think we're being more sympathetic. We're more interested in health and well-being, and we're trying to imagine what people are doing. What have you been doing in this frustrating time? For myself, for the last 15 years, I've been working remotely and working from home, and I don't think anything of it, of speaking to people on the telephone or Zoom or Teams and things like that, but I can see other people are struggling. So I am now, oh, good gracious, I've dropped out. Okay. Can't see the yellow button. Right. Okay. So this is my next slide, and I thought I would show you where I am. And I'm in a place called Eastbourne, which is down on the south coast, as you can see. I'm normally in London, the capital of the world, but for the last few months we've been staying in Eastbourne. I've also put Leicester onto the map because a lot of you will have heard that Leicester has been locked down through the coronavirus over the last few days. But also my mother lives there. My mother is 95 and she has had the virus. In fact, she had it so bad that we think she had COVID-21 or 22. It seemed much worse than just the 19. And she was very ill and very seriously ill. But she's come through it. And she has survived. And in fact, she's full of life. And we've had quite a lot of people who've had the virus who have been very ill and continue to be ill and don't have energy and have other illnesses. So we're very pleased about that. Could you give me my next slide, please? Oh, no, I can't see it. So I don't know.
Yes, would you like to pass now?
Okay, well this slide, this exciting slide, is where I am locked down. You can see the door has got a big lock on it, and I'm locked down in here. And if I show you the next slide, I will show you what I am doing. Which is, can you press the next slide? There, yeah, that slide. Okay, this is the big project we're working on. It is a workshop. We've put these shelves up. We've sorted all the tools out. We've got power tools. We've got normal tools. We've got nails. We've got screws. it is a very complex project. It is all about projectification. My whole approach to project management is being tested through the complexity of this project. Occasionally we're in a waterfall for a week, but then it all goes wrong a little bit and we need some agility. I don't think it's as good as agile, but it's agility, and it's really proving quite difficult. If we show you the next slide, the next slide is me at the garden. The garden, this is where we are producing raised beds for vegetables. There's covers on the top of them because we have birds and squirrels and badgers. Unfortunately, the netting won't keep the bugs off, so the black fly is eating the tomatoes, the radishes, the beetroot, the parsnips, the beans, the lettuces. But next year we're going to be into strawberries. So that's what I'm doing in the mornings during the week. If I take the next slide, please. So now, one of the things we did was we went for continuing in sustainability. Some of you recognize that book I wrote a few years ago. Well, APM have sponsored research for the last 3 or 4 years. And myself and Luca, we put together a application to be researchers, sponsored. And we failed. We've failed quite badly. There was 34 applicants and we didn't make it. Now that shows you how strong APM is at the moment, but the reason I've kept this in here is because this is an international applications opportunity now. This year was international and they've obviously been very popular, but I offer it open to all of you people here. The applications have been, some of them have been purely academic, some of them have been quite private sector and practitioners, some have been combined, some have been cross-international from multiple sources. So if you're interested in research, and we all should be interested in research, then I offer and recommend that to you. That's taken up some of my time in what have I been doing. My next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I keep walking around here. My next slide is what I've been doing in the consultancy area. This is with Dash Dot, and the consultancy there with 3 or 4 practices and some smaller businesses is in those 4 areas. And the business aspects have definitely been influenced by the COVID-19, and we've been looking at how the disaster recovery and business continuity have worked, or should have worked, and what we're doing with that for now and for the future. So we're actually having to put this in practice. And we're seeing the impacts in practice or organizations, people, premises, and then the projects. And they're all being impacted by the virus, and it's led to us actually writing some articles and a book about it. The is about work winning, and work winning we're now finding is completely different. People with the amount of work that's being stopped and cancelled and held over, that we're now taking a different approach to how we think about the markets, think about the opportunities, and think about the techniques, because there's less interviews taking place, for example. We're less able to take our potential customers or teams to benchmark projects. So the benchmark projects are example projects. Here's one we did earlier. Isn't it great? Aren't we great? That sort of thing. The third area I'm doing with people is training, and I wrote there no face-to-face, and that was really strong, and I was getting quite a few conversations about virtual training and internet training and things like that. But this week I've had 2 inquiries about doing training probably in September, but doing it face-to-face, but with absolute distance learning, big spaces and things like that. But that's quite interesting what's happening there. I'm sorry I'm dropping out again. Could you all sing happy birthday twice? That would be great. Oh dear. Oh, there's nothing there now. The other area is projects, and this is where I get involved with projects themselves, quite detailed stuff. What we're seeing there is the troubleshooting aspects have been affected by the COVID impacts. So we are trying to anticipate how they impact on our teams with remote working, how they're impacting on how we're responding to government action and government requirements and legislation, some of which is to do with restrictions, but some of it's to do with money and stimulation as well. And we're also seeing now the recession impacts, which actually have got almost nothing to do with the COVID or the pandemic. We're seeing the effects on projects of having to stop them, to pause them while people think about them, then sometimes to continue and sometimes to stop. And stop and wait, and sometimes to be stop and abandoned, and it won't happen anymore. We're also seeing, back in the training, the projectification of the need for project management as a life skill, and now it's in real life because it feels a bit more real than it used to do. We're seeing the effects of training for full-time project managers, part-time, sometime, and one-time project managers, but also for team membership. So project teams are becoming very important, and how teams perform, including when they are being stimulated by their Zoom and the like. Think of the fall on that. Frustrating for me. It must be annoying for you guys. I'm very sorry about this. I was talking to you about consultancy. The other area I've been working on is something called PM by community and location, which is being particularly featured on London because that's where I was experienced. And we have, sorry, can you show the next slide? London is a great place for project management, for working there, for training and all that sort of thing. But we now realise that there's a lot of other great centres as well. I mean, where we are now in this part of the world, this part of Spain, and all the other places we go to for the Spanish conferences, you get a real feeling of the strength of the universities and their courses, the academics running them, but also the community they're in and the public and private sectors. So see all these centres. Now centres, communities are going to be even more important to build up our resources for study, for research, for learning, for working, for visiting, and for participating. So if you're interested in strengthening your organization and your community, then I recommend you go to the PM London website, and you will find some slides, some pages there which help to explain how to set up such a community on a web base in your area, in your country, in your city, in your region, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. Develop that we recognize the communities we're in. Okay, the big organizations and the institutions of IPMA, but the member associations are really important, and the certification systems, but it's people. It's about people in groups and feeling parts of groups and an organization. So if you can strengthen your community so that we are combining the age and experience of some of the older generation with some of the youth and the people in schools who are thinking in this direction of being in projects and project management, then that will be great. And bringing together, as we did, the sort of young experience of putting a website together with the old experience of wanting to tell the stories or add the information was a really powerful experience. So we enjoyed that. God knows what I'm doing here. All right. So my final little set of slides are about, if you can show the next one, is about what I've been doing with books, with Dashdot Books. Dashdot also is a publishing area, and we have been doing stuff. Let me try and find the slide for you. Is it a pink one? Next slide. Yes, so this is the sort of range of books that Dashdot have been doing, and over the last 15 years, it's been quite interesting. And we've taken the opportunity with the shutdown and the pandemic to revise 4 of them. Bugger. All right. I don't know what I've done here. So the 4 that we've actually addressed are at the top 4 there. Pandemic impacts and responses for businesses of all sizes. Recession survival for businesses of all sizes. Recession recovery for businesses of all sizes. And business advisors, a guide for organizations of all sizes. And we've brought them all together as 2nd editions, or in some case a 3rd edition. The good business advice is really going to be important because people need good advice, good project managers, but project managers need advice as well. So we've identified, I think it's over 50 particular areas that this can happen. The book originated from being asked about non-executive director inputs to companies, which is quite a minefield in the UK. To be a director is something responsible under the Companies Act. So a lot of people, including me, would prefer to be advisors. We've taken the opportunity in the shutdown to revise some of the books, but also to look at how they're produced. And we are relaunching a website whereby the books are available as PDFs. And it's not necessary to buy hard copies or to download in other ways, or print on demand was our other way. People could order the book and have it printed for their own purposes. We're hoping that this will all be ready in the next couple of weeks at Dashdot Publishing. So if you're interested in those areas of surviving recession and also recovering, which are quite different, let me assure you, or being anything like that, or being an advisor, then let me know. So that was really me trying to tell you in a very disjointed way what I've been doing. It's a portfolio of activity. I recommend that you all consider what you already know and attempt consolidation. So effectively, that's what I've been doing. I haven't been writing new stuff per se. I've been thinking about, for example, the recession stuff is from 10 years ago with the Lehman Brothers type recession, but that was based on earlier recessions of the 2000 millennium and the Enron type crisis. What in the UK was a property crisis in the late 80s, early 90s. What for me was the miners' strike and similar in the early 80s, late 70s, going back to a famous 3-day working week in the 70s. So use your experience and consolidate and use the mediums, as we're trying to use the mediums here, to the best of your knowledge. I'm done. I'm going to ask Vanessa if she would carry on with the rest of the show, because I'm breaking up all the time here. So good luck with your awards. Good luck with the AGM tomorrow, and I hope it all goes really well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Tom.